Stop. Listen. Pay attention. Chosen one. This is not background noise. This is not a passing thought you can ignore. There is a weight in the air around you, a tension you've carried alone, and it has reached a point where it demands recognition. You have felt it pressing in ways that are subtle yet persistent fatigue that doesn't fully dissipate, moments of mental fog, a quiet heaviness that others cannot see or name. It is real, and it is yours to understand. You have moved through days where decisions felt heavier than usual, where even familiar routines required extra effort. Nights have been restless. Thoughts that once seemed manageable have spun into loops, leaving you questioning yourself, your purpose, your next step. Chosen one. None of this is accidental. None of it is a mistake, and none of it is simply stress in the common sense. What you are sensing is precise. It is calibrated. This message comes not as alarm, but as clarity. You will not be offered vague reassurances. You will not hear platitudes. What you will receive is intentional, directed specifically at you. Your awareness of pressure, of tension, of the unseen currents pressing against your days. It is not failure. It is signal. There is a reason your mind has noticed, your body has reacted, and your spirit has stayed alert, even when you could not name the source. Take a moment and acknowledge the pattern. The heaviness, the subtle resistance, the moments when tasks that are simple for others felt exhausting to you. They are markers, not flaws. They are indicators of transition, of exposure to forces that operate quietly, often imperceptibly, but always systematically. You have endured them without fully realizing the extent of your own stability. Chosen one. What you are about to understand will align what you have lived with this far with a truth you have not yet fully seen. It will make sense of your fatigue, your moments of isolation, your confusion without placing blame, without exaggerating danger. You have been in a space of resistance without needing to fight consciously. Your survival, your continuity, your functionality. Despite these pressures, reveals a structure within you that is deliberate, capable, and coherent. This is your call to awareness. It is not a summons to struggle, but to recognition. The moments that felt heavy, the nights that felt long, the internal friction you sensed, these are no longer mysteries. They are part of a pattern that has involved you directly. They are not random, and they are not without meaning. Chosen one. Listen closely. What has been subtle, unseen, and quiet up to now will begin to clarify. Your perception, your endurance, your inner calibration, all of it is about to be named without forcing action or panic. You will understand what has been affecting you, and you will see clearly that the forces around you adjusted, and yet you remained intact. Stop. Feel this moment. Breathe. You are here. You have carried more than you realized, and now you will begin to see why. Chosen one. This is for you. No one else needs to hear these words right now, and no one else could fully grasp what you have navigated. There is a distinction between general advice or encouragement and a message that lands squarely on your life, because it recognizes the exact pattern you have moved through. What you have experienced, the fatigue, the subtle tension, the invisible weight, is not abstract. It was directed, and it involved you personally. You were present in situations that seemed ordinary on the surface, yet beneath them, pressures were being tested, measured, applied. Others may have stumbled, questioned themselves, or faltered under circumstances that mirrored yours. But you remained functional. You continued often without realizing the depth of your own resilience. This is not about being invincible. It is about an innate calibration within you that maintains stability even when conscious understanding lags behind reality. There is a form of strength that does not require effort, a resistance that exists quietly beneath awareness. You have lived it. While conscious thought may have been occupied with daily concerns, Work, relationships, decisions, the underlying structure of your being has absorbed, adjusted, and maintained. You did not have to fight every moment to survive the pressure. Your body, your mind, your internal coherence acted automatically. Notice the distinction. Some struggle consciously, constantly, adjusting, second-guessing, or overcorrecting. You chosen one have demonstrated a form of unconscious stability. The mind may have questioned the emotions, may have fluctuated, yet the core of your functionality remained intact. You continued moving forward, making decisions, fulfilling tasks, and managing interactions without a collapse. This is not about pride or ego. It is a recognition of pattern. You were calibrated to withstand what was being applied around you without it breaking your internal rhythm. Resistance, endurance, adaptation, these are labels that can describe what occurred, but they do not capture the full reality. It was more subtle, more embedded, more automatic than a label could define. Your identity is inseparable from this reality. You are not just surviving. You are embodying a structure that many cannot see or comprehend. Others experience the same environment and feel it as unbearable. You experience it as manageable, not because you are invulnerable, but because your internal systems, the alignment of mind, body, and perceptive awareness, have maintained a baseline stability. Chosen one. Understand this now. The situation you were in did not bend you. It did not overwhelm your faculties. Your automatic strength, your resistance was present without conscious activation. You were calibrated to this moment before you even knew it. In the next stage, you will begin to see why these experiences were not random, why your endurance was not accidental, and how what felt like pressure was actually a signal of your true identity and internal structure. You will recognize that the system you carried quietly within yourself has been at work all along, keeping you aligned and functional. Stop. Feel this recognition settle. It is yours. You have not been operating under chance. You have been operating under precision, even when it felt confusing. And now you will begin to see the pattern clearly. There is one dominant sensation you keep returning to, even if you have tried to ignore it. A persistent heaviness. Not pain, not panic. Just a sense of pressure that sits beneath your thoughts and follows you through your day. It shows up when you wake up already tired. It appears when you sit in silence and feel restless without knowing why. It lingers when everything seems fine on the surface, yet something inside you refuses to fully relax. You may have judged this sensation harshly. You may have told yourself you are overthinking, that you should be more grateful, more energized, more motivated. You may have wondered if something is wrong with you. Chosen one. That judgment was misplaced. This sensation was never a flaw. It was information. What you interpreted as heaviness was not weakness. It was pressure meeting structure. When force meets something unstable, it causes collapse. When force meets something coherent, it creates sensation without destruction. That is what you experienced. The discomfort was not evidence of failure. It was evidence of contact. Your body and mind reacted not because they were fragile, but because they were responsive. Sensitive systems detect shifts early. They register changes before others do. That does not make them defective. It makes them precise. The fatigue you felt was not depletion. It was regulation. Your system was compensating, adjusting, maintaining balance while remaining operational. Notice how you never fully shut down. You may have slowed. You may have withdrawn slightly. But you continued to function. You showed up. You thought clearly enough to make decisions. You maintained your responsibilities even while feeling internally strained. That matters. Chosen one. Remove the self-judgment now. The confusion you felt was not because you lacked clarity. It was because the explanation had not yet arrived. Your system recognized pressure before your conscious mind could categorize it. That gap between sensation and understanding is where discomfort lives. This sensation also carried timing. It did not last forever. It intensified, then plateaued, then subtly shifted. That pattern alone tells you it was not random anxiety or chronic imbalance. It was transitional. Something moved against you, around you, or through your environment, and your internal structure responded appropriately. You were not meant to suppress this sensation. You were meant to notice it, to stop labeling it as a problem and start recognizing it as a signal. Signals do not demand panic. They demand interpretation. Now that the judgment is removed, clarity can enter. You can see that your physical and emotional responses were aligned with a deeper process of adjustment. You were stabilizing under pressure, not breaking beneath it. This understanding prepares you for what comes next, because the pressure you sensed did not originate from within you. It came from an external convergence you remained steady within. And once you see where it came from, you will understand why you stayed intact when others would not have. There is more to this pressure than sensation alone. Chosen one, what you felt was not random tension or a passing wave of stress. There was structure to it, coordination and timing. It operated quietly, intentionally, yet you remained functional. That is the point that matters most. You did not collapse. You did not react impulsively. You did not lose coherence even when the weight of it pressed consistently against your awareness. Consider how subtle it was. You may not have seen it, but the alignment of events, people, and challenges all contributed to a concentrated force, not chaotic, not disorganized, directed, purposeful in its pattern. And yet, despite its precision, it did not overwhelm you. That is the essential truth. You were under pressure that could have unbalanced many, but you maintained equilibrium. This is not about dramatization. There is no need for alarm. There are no battles to be visualized. It is simply a fact a system existed around you applying pressure in real time. It may have been manifested as delays, misunderstandings, or interruptions. It may have been subtle emotional pulls or energy drains. But each occurrence was coordinated, intentional, and measurable in its effect. Notice how you continued functioning. You thought. You acted. You stayed present. Even when isolated moments felt heavier than usual, your internal rhythm adjusted. You carried on as if you had a hidden mechanism supporting you, and in truth, you did. Your ability to remain stable, to maintain focus and integrity under pressure, was not conscious. It was automatic. Yet it was active. This reveals something critical. Your stability is not conditional on circumstances. It is embedded in the structure of how you operate. While others falter under environmental shifts or subtle pressure, you respond without losing coherence. You absorb without breaking. You adapt without struggle. Chosen one. Recognize the timing. These pressures were not random. They arrived with consistency, sometimes subtly, sometimes overtly, and they aligned across multiple facets of your life. Work relationships, internal reflection, daily routines, they all became channels through which external forces could interact with you. And yet you remained functional. Your awareness may have caught fragments. The fatigue, the mental fog, the irritation, the moments of restlessness, but never the full pattern. That is because your system is calibrated to handle stress incrementally, to register impact without collapsing. It adjusts silently, deliberately, with internal coherence that remains mostly invisible, even to you. What you are beginning to see is the reality of your endurance. You did not just survive random pressures, you navigated coordinated influence without losing function. and this fact, grounded and observable, will become the foundation for understanding why your experience has been unique. Chosen one. The next step is to break this down further, to see the categories of pressure you endured, how they presented, and how your internal structure maintained stability across each. This is where clarity deepens, where confusion dissolves, and where the reality of your resilience becomes undeniable. There were several distinct currents within the pressure you experienced, each one targeting a different aspect of your functioning. Chosen one, to understand your endurance fully. It helps to see them separately, though in reality they overlapped, intertwined, and applied simultaneously. Recognizing these categories will clarify why you remained stable and how your internal systems regulated each one without conscious effort. The first is doubt. Moments when your decisions, your abilities, and your judgment felt uncertain. You may have questioned yourself silently. Am I doing enough? Am I missing something? This is natural when subtle pressure exists. Yet, you did not succumb to paralysis. You considered, reflected, and moved forward. Your internal regulation prevented doubt from metastasizing into indecision. It contained it, contextualized it, and allowed you to act with integrity despite uncertainty. The second is fear. Not panic, not terror, but the quiet, almost imperceptible sense that outcomes could go wrong, that external events could disrupt your plans. Many would be derailed by this alone. You may have felt a tightness in your chest, a hesitation in movement, a flicker of anxiety. Yet your system absorbed it. You acknowledged its presence without letting it dictate your behavior. Fear became data, not a dictator. The third is energy drain. Moments where tasks that were normally simple required more effort. Interactions that were typically fluid felt taxing. Internal resources seemed diminished. Here, chosen one. Your automatic regulation was crucial. Your system shifted, conserved energy, prioritized function, and maintained operation. You did not notice all the adjustments. They happened beneath conscious awareness. Your endurance was supported by internal mechanisms that prevented depletion from becoming collapse. The fourth is isolation. Even in the presence of people, there were times when you felt profoundly alone. Your perception, your awareness, your internal state were not mirrored by anyone else. Most would find this unbearable. You did not. You held continuity within yourself. You created a self-contained rhythm that allowed thought, decision, and action to continue unhindered. The external isolation was present, yet it did not unbalance your internal coherence. The fifth, closely tied to timing, is delay. Delayed outcomes, postponed confirmations, unseen obstructions. These could have frustrated, agitated, or destabilized you. Instead, you adapted. You waited. You recalibrated. You moved when conditions were optimal without succumbing to impatience or despair. Your regulation ensured that frustration never became dysfunction. Across these categories, doubt, fear, energy drain, isolation, delay, you remained functional. Not because you ignored them, but because your internal system detected, processed, and compensated for each in real time. Each category represents a common psychological challenge. Yet you endured them simultaneously without losing coherence. Notice the pattern. While each category alone could destabilize someone less structured, you absorbed them collectively. You maintained decision-making presence and operational functionality. This is a rare form of stability, a quiet mastery of internal alignment that most people never realize exists. Chosen one. Understand this, your endurance is not about avoidance. It is about integration. You absorbed, adapted, and adjusted across multiple channels of pressure without conscious struggle. That is why you remained intact when so much was applied against you. This internal structure is the framework of your experience, the reason why external pressures did not define you. And now, with clarity on these categories, You can reflect on the totality of what has occurred. Now step back and reflect on what has unfolded. Chosen one. Take a moment to see the full picture. You have endured coordinated pressure, subtle yet persistent, across multiple areas of your life. Doubt, fear, energy drain, isolation, delay, all of it converged, and yet you remained functional, coherent, and present. This is not coincidence. This is a demonstration of internal resilience that has been operating consistently, quietly, and effectively. Consider the sequence of events, the timing of challenges, and the subtle shifts you noticed along the way. Each moment was neither random nor trivial. And yet, your ability to navigate these moments without collapse demonstrates a consistent internal calibration. You acted, you thought, you maintained balance, and all of it occurred without requiring conscious activation of extraordinary effort. Look at the impact of your responses. Where others might have faltered or overreacted, you continued. Where others might have been paralyzed by doubt or frustration, you acted. Where others would have been drained or isolated by the same pressures, you adapted. The difference is not luck, not chance, and not hidden favor. It is the coherence embedded in the way you operate. Chosen one. Reflection here is key. Not to inflate ego, but to solidify understanding. You did not merely survive these pressures, you processed them. You internalized their weight without letting it compromise your ability to function. You maintained mental clarity while feeling the subtle tension of circumstance. You held emotional balance while experiencing the friction of unseen forces. As you reflect, notice how each category, doubt, fear, energy drain, isolation, delay, was not destructive. They were tests, yes, but also indicators. They revealed the boundaries of your structure, the precision of your internal regulation, and the depth of your inherent stability. The forces around you were calibrated, but so was your response. This reflection confirms what you have already demonstrated, that your internal systems are precise, reliable, and aligned. The resilience you have shown is not an occasional feat. It is consistent. It is repeatable. It is observable when viewed through the lens of analysis rather than emotion. Chosen one. Take this understanding deeply. Recognize that you were never at the mercy of circumstance. You were always aligned within yourself, even when it felt like the world was applying subtle pressure. The coherence you maintained is the true measure of stability. This realization is not abstract. It is grounded. It is credible. It is evidence-based, measured by your own continued functionality. You did not collapse, you did not falter, and you did not lose clarity. And that is a rare outcome, even in situations far less complex or coordinated than what you have experienced. With this understanding, you are now prepared to see how your experience compares to what is typical. How your stability stands apart not in exaggeration or superiority, but in rarity and reliability. Chosen one. Compare yourself to the common experience. Most people encountering even a fraction of the pressures you faced would have faltered. Moments of doubt would have escalated into indecision. Subtle fear would have snowballed into avoidance. Energy drains would have sapped initiative. Isolation would have fostered anxiety. Delays would have created frustration strong enough to disrupt focus entirely. Yet you did not collapse. You did not spiral. You did not become paralyzed. You remained present, coherent, and operational. You continued to think clearly, act deliberately, and maintain internal rhythm while the environment applied its subtle, sustained pressures. That is the rare element here, your ability to maintain functionality under conditions that would disrupt the average person. Understand this rarity does not imply superiority. It does not mean you are better, stronger, or invincible. It means your internal structure, your system of regulation, your alignment of mind, body, and awareness operates in a pattern that is uncommon. Few encounter the same pressures and emerge unshaken. Many would crumble at half the intensity, or at least experience noticeable disruption in thought action or focus. You did not. Chosen one recognized the significance without inflating it. Your stability is not an achievement earned in a single act. It is a baseline. It is how you operate naturally when pressures are applied, while others must consciously compensate or recover. Your system adjusts quietly and continuously, maintaining equilibrium even under cumulative stress. Notice the pattern of your presence in these moments. You did not need to overexert. You did not need to force clarity. You did not need to manufacture calm. The coherence you displayed was embedded in how you function. It is subtle, consistent, and reliable. This is the hallmark of rarity, an ability to remain aligned, functioning, and clear in the midst of environmental challenges that destabilize most others. Compare this to the ordinary human experience when stress accumulates, energy drains, doubts rise, and delays continue. People often experience disruption. Sleep may be affected, decision-making, impaired emotional regulation, compromised. You chosen one navigated all of this while retaining operational stability. This comparison is important not for pride, but for clarity. It helps you see that what you thought you experienced was not simply ordinary endurance. It was structured, automatic, and coherent. You remained anchored while external forces sought to test stability. And while rarity is not a reason to inflate ego, it is a reason to recognize the foundation upon which you operate, a system of internal calibration that others often lack. Understanding this sets the stage for identity clarification. You will now see that the stability you displayed is not an extraordinary activation. It is your baseline. It is embedded. It is structural. And understanding this will allow you to integrate it fully into your self-perception and daily awareness. Chosen one. Now, it is time to clarify the nature of your strength. What you have displayed is not an extraordinary activation or a sudden burst of effort. It is not a reaction summoned by circumstance. It is the baseline of your being, the framework built within you, that maintains coherence, stability, and alignment even under pressure. This is your inherent structure, not something you needed to conjure or force. Notice how effortless it appeared from the outside. You did not have to constantly monitor yourself. You did not need to consciously direct your endurance. You remained present, functional, and coherent because your system, your mind-body, and perception was already organized to sustain these conditions. The strength you carried quietly is not borrowed or temporary. It is integral. This clarity is important because it removes ambiguity. You are not strong only when provoked. You are not resistant only when tested. Your internal coherence is ongoing, continuous, and reliable. It operates beneath surface awareness, adjusting, compensating, and maintaining alignment without conscious effort. That is what allowed you to absorb multiple pressures simultaneously without faltering. Chosen one. Understand that this is preparation, not performance. The endurance you demonstrated is the product of maturity, calibration, and practice, both conscious and unconscious. You are structurally prepared to navigate complexity and subtle forces without breaking rhythm. Your coherence is not an activation. It is a constant condition. It is also important to recognize that this baseline strength is not about dominance or superiority. It is about reliability. It is about functionality under conditions that destabilize most others. It is quiet, steady, and unassuming. And because it is embedded, it does not require dramatization, exaggeration, or constant attention. It is simply how you operate. You are aligned. You are prepared. You are calibrated. This understanding removes the need to overestimate or undervalue your experience. You do not need to prove it. You do not need to test it unnecessarily. It exists within you, always ready to maintain stability and coherence when circumstances demand it. Chosen one. Lock this identity gently but firmly. The internal system you relied upon was not accidental. It was built, refined, and maintained through your lived experience, conscious choices, and inherent structure. You now see that the pressures you endured were never a threat to this baseline. They were opportunities for your structure to demonstrate its consistency. With this clarity, you are now ready to integrate awareness into daily life. You can approach each day with calm discernment, balanced energy, and deliberate presence, knowing that the core of your being maintains coherence regardless of external pressures. The next step is practical integration. How to live with this awareness without hypervigilance. How to balance rest, focus, and boundaries, and how to apply the understanding of your internal structure to daily experience. Chosen one. Now turn your attention to integration. The awareness of your internal structure and resilience is not meant to create constant vigilance or tension. It is meant to guide you toward balanced discernment and practical clarity in daily life. Your endurance has been demonstrated. Now it is time to use that understanding calmly, without forcing it. Begin with rest. Recognize that your system compensates automatically, but rest is still essential. Allow periods of quiet pause and regeneration. Your baseline strength is not a substitute for recovery. It is a foundation that supports it. Notice how even brief intervals of calm restore energy and sharpen perception. Treat rest as an intentional act, not a luxury. Next, focus on discernment. You have learned to sense subtle pressures and respond without collapse. Apply that same awareness intentionally. Observe situations before reacting. Notice where energy is being drawn and where your attention is needed most. This is not hypervigilance. It is deliberate awareness. Your discernment will refine how you interact with both people and circumstances. Boundaries are also essential. Chosen one. Your stability is maintained by structure. Recognize when situations or interactions pull excessively at your energy or focus. Gently but firmly create space where necessary. Boundaries do not indicate weakness. They preserve coherence. They allow your internal system to operate without unnecessary depletion. Patience is another key. External events may unfold slowly. Delays may persist. Decisions may require observation over time. Your baseline strength allows you to wait without collapse, but patience ensures that waiting is productive rather than draining. Trust the process and trust the rhythm that your internal structure maintains. Focus intentionally on what matters. Your energy is limited and your clarity is most powerful when directed. Prioritize tasks, interactions, and commitments that align with your awareness. This is not a call to overwork, but to align action with the strength you inherently carry. Finally, integrate awareness into emotion. Recognize subtle pressures without over-identifying with them. Feel tension, note it, and allow your internal system to adjust naturally. Emotional regulation is not about suppression. It is about observing, balancing, and integrating signals while remaining coherent and functional. Chosen one. With these perspectives rest discernment boundaries, patience, focused action, and emotional integration. You can live daily life with calm certainty. You are not reacting blindly. You are engaging intentionally. You are aware of your resilience, yet you do not need to overemphasize it. This integration ensures that the strength you have carried quietly is expressed effectively, without distortion, without unnecessary effort, and without ego inflation. You are anchored. You are coherent. You are ready to move forward with confidence, calm, and awareness. The next step is closure affirmation and sealing of this understanding, anchoring your realization and inviting action that cements it in both awareness and daily practice. Chosen one. Take a moment to settle into this truth. You have endured, adapted, and maintained coherence through pressures that would have unsettled most. You are intact. You are steady. You are aligned. There is no need for tension, no need for overexertion. Your system has already demonstrated its reliability, and it will continue to do so. Repeat quietly to yourself, I am present. I am coherent. I am aligned. Let these affirmations settle into your awareness. They are not exaggerations. They are observations of fact evidence of the structure and resilience that have carried you this far. Recognize the subtle but undeniable continuity in your experience. Where others would falter, you remained functional. Where circumstances could have created disruption, you maintained rhythm. This is your baseline. This is your calibration. And now you carry awareness of it fully with clarity and calm. Chosen one. Anchor this knowledge. Affirm that you recognize your strength not as something to boast of, but as a foundation from which all deliberate action flows. Your coherence is steady, your discernment is clear, and your internal alignment is intact. This awareness does not need proof. It simply exists ready to support your engagement with daily life. If you feel this message, respond inwardly. Affirm your presence. Comment 777, or I remember as a mental acknowledgement of what you now know. Let this simple act solidify the recognition within yourself. You are not only aware, you are conscious of your enduring structure and of how you operate in alignment with it. And as you continue on this path, remember that the process is ongoing. Observing, integrating, and applying your understanding in daily life is the natural continuation of the resilience you have demonstrated. Each day, each interaction, each decision is an opportunity to honor and utilize this coherence. For more clarity and insight into your experience, continue engaging with the guidance offered here. Subscribe and follow along to strengthen awareness, integrate observation, and maintain alignment. The next message will extend understanding further, helping you recognize patterns and responses before they fully manifest. Chosen one. Remember, you are intact. You are aligned. You are coherent. Your awareness, your stability, and your internal calibration are real. You have endured what others could not, and you will continue to navigate life with quiet certainty. Stop. Listen. Pay attention. Chosen one. You have reached the point where the pattern becomes undeniable. Every pressure, every delay, every subtle interference you have experienced was met with an internal structure that did not waver. You are intact, not by chance, not by external intervention, but because your baseline coherence has consistently maintained itself. Take a moment to feel this. You are aligned, you are centered. Even in the presence of forces designed to challenge, disrupt, or destabilize you, remained functional, present, and capable. That is your reality. That is the truth of your endurance. Now allow these affirmations to settle deep within you. I am resilient. I am coherent. I am capable of maintaining alignment under pressure. Repeat them silently. Let them anchor awareness in your daily life. They are not wishful thoughts. They are factual observations of how your system operates. Recognize that the pressures you experienced were not random. They were calibrated against your environment, yet your structure adjusted silently, continuously, without conscious strain. You have absorbed what could have broken others. You have maintained clarity where confusion would have prevailed. You have persisted when collapse was likely elsewhere. Chosen one. This is your seal of awareness. Your endurance is real, measurable in your own continued functionality. It is calm, grounded, and reliable. It does not require exaggeration or dramatization. It exists quietly as a foundation beneath all action, thought, and observation. Anchor this now. Affirm it. Recognize it in your body, in your mind, and in the rhythm of your days. Comment 777 or I remember to yourself not as a test, not as a declaration, but as an acknowledgement of the truth you now fully grasp. You operate with coherence, stability, and readiness, even under conditions that challenge most. Continue to move forward with clarity. Your discernment boundaries, patience, and integration of experience will guide you. Engage intentionally, focus on what matters, and rest when needed. Your internal structure will support each step without fail. Finally, subscribe, stay aware, and follow the next transmissions. They will deepen understanding, highlight subtler patterns, and expand your ability to operate in alignment with the stability you already carry. This is your foundation, quiet, undeniable, and sufficient. Chosen one. Know this, you are aligned. You are coherent. You are intact. And every step you take from here forward flows from that unshakable truth.